Welcome back to the stage here in our Ubisoft Power Hour, pretty much. We'll be speaking with one more guest here from Ubisoft. We've got a wonderful gentleman joining us.
Yes, and last but definitely not least is Justin Farron, who is the creative director for Skull and Bones. Now, I went along to Ubisoft and played it yesterday.
Awesome.
It is epic.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Right, can you tell us a little bit about the ships? So we hopped into the demo and we kind of got to a choice of 3 ships.
Yeah, so in this particular demo, we have 3 different ships, 2 different classes to show off our RPG archetypes. So among those 3 ships, you want to create a sense that those ships have a unique role in combat. So we look at, the type of classes that we all play in RPGs, whether it's a tank, a ranged support, hybrid. All of those roles kind of are something we're familiar with when we played RPGs, and we want to give players something they can jump into, that is a playstyle that suits their preferences, where they feel strongest, most powerful, and give them a unique role to work in groups. Those class synergies are really a key aspect of our design.
Yeah.
Nice. That's super exciting. Now, pulling it back a little bit here, I know there's some people who just discovered the game this week in a big stage like E3. I know it's not your first announce, but what is Skull and Bones? Let's just kind of dive in at the top layer.
Skull and Bones takes place, right at the twilight of the golden age of piracy.
Yeah.
In the fishbowl of the Caribbean, the empires are crushing everybody who's resisting them, and our pirates set out for a brand new hunting ground. That's the Indian Ocean. It's massively bigger. It's got more rewards, more risk, and it's definitely about competition among all of the people who are rushing into this theater, this huge, massive theater to fight over the resources of the Indian Ocean.
Nice, and of course, words don't do it justice. We got to see it, right?
Let's check out the trailer, because it's awesome.
It was over. The old guard was wiped out. Those who kneeled were now at the gates of hell. They were killing us off, burning our seas from shore to shore. We thought there was no way the Empire could win this game. As fate would have it, the tide turned in our favor again. A new wind was at our backs, blowing us straight to heaven. In our new Eden, there was only one rule. First come, first serve. It was dog eat dog. We became kings, queens, lords, and masters of our own new worlds. Fortunes poured down on us. They had their empire. Now it was our turn. Enemies became friends. Friends became enemies. The best didn't trust anybody. The philosophy of the day was more and more. We were alone at the top of the food chain. Well, we thought we were. In a dog-eat-dog world, we were wolves. And wolves hunt in packs.
There it is. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous game, a gorgeous, gorgeous trailer. I'm so glad you guys brought that here, and so glad you joined us up here. It really means a lot. I know Ubisoft is no stranger to the industry for making world-renowned series. Skull and Bones being a kind of a new entry there. What does that mean really for Ubisoft jumping in on this?
Well, I mean, speaking for my studio, our core competencies have started in building the naval missions on Assassin's Creed 3, the open Caribbean missions, and the content that you have in AC4 Black Flag. And that was really the catalyst for us bringing this to life, along with our experience with Ghost Recon Phantoms, the free-to-play shooter. It just made sense. You know, we wanted to build something that was bigger and larger than anything we'd ever done. The Caribbean maps that we used, the hunting grounds that you play at E3, are massively bigger than the Caribbean that you have in AC4 Black Flag. They're 4 times as big, just
wow.
one map. So we want to continue to give people these huge hunting grounds to be able to hunt with their friends and against their enemies, and yeah, it's a huge opportunity for us.
I love that you guys just doubled down on the dynamic of that world there. That's just great, because I myself spent hours and hours on the ocean in Black Flag, so it's great to almost have its own game and genre, so to speak. I'll call it its own genre, piracy. That can be
It can fit, it can work.
Yeah,
it's its own kind of thing. Like pirate ships, like there's 3 different ships to choose from in the demo.
The demo, yeah.
Can you just tell us what those about? Like,
sure. The largest, I think the one we were talking about, the largest frigate.
Yeah.
It's a Royal Fortune, and it's kind of the tank of our 3 ships at the demo. It can anchor down. Its special ability is basically an unlimited salvo once you're in an anchored position. So you don't want to go head first at that ship. It controls a field of fire that's very, very devastating. You have the Black Horn, which has a Juggernaut ram, and its special ability is just to slice ships in half. But it requires being in the right position, using the wind, understanding the weaknesses of your opponent, trying to get his attention somewhere else. And finally the Jaeger, which is my favorite, and it's got a front cannon, which basically consolidates into almost a shotgun burst. So when you're able to get in position, get right behind your target, you can just like roll through them really quickly.
Because the thing is one of the big things I noticed is the wind was affecting the game massively, but there's also dynamic weather. Could you tell us about how that's going to affect the players?
Well, it all starts with our fortune system, and you get a fortune from Taljeed in the hideout.
Yeah.
And he'll tell you about the state of the world. It can affect things like the factions, how they're warring, or who's allying with who, the ocean itself, the weather, the wind, like you said, and finally the trade routes. All of those variables change every single time the player logs in every single game mode, every single session. So it's this evolving, changing world that you don't even just walk into it with a set of presets. You can affect it. You can change it by your actions within the world.
Now, I know Ubisoft is all about giving players choice. What kind of game modes can we expect in Skull and Bones?
Well, obviously last year you saw our Disputed Waters,
Yes.
which is team-based, match-made PvP, designed to be very competitive head-on with one gang of pirates versus another. The hunting grounds themselves are really the essence of what our game is, which is sailing around in an open world, deciding what you want to do, setting your own objectives. You're not following a linear path where we tell you go do A, B, C, D. You decide what you want to do. You set your progression objectives, your goals, and you set sail. You equip your ship. You customize all the weapons, the crew on the ship, even the visual aspect of it, and everything you do within that world, that hunting ground, is up to you.
I love that. Now, you touched a little bit there on customization.
Yeah.
I know being a pirate, it's about getting the loot, it's about sinking other ships, but it's also about the style.
It's about your swagger, right?
Yeah.
All pirates are gangsters. They're, they're
With my peg leg.
Yeah, they're not. They're not like we're not a kiddie game. We want to make sure that we tackle these things in a way that reflects the danger that you're going to experience in high seas, and it's all about people fearing you, looking at your ship and seeing a figurehead that they don't have, that they didn't earn because they weren't good enough, and you want people to be envious of all of your accomplishments, whether it's the cosmetics that your captain has, or your ship, your figurehead, your emblems, your logos, and even your gang's flag, which you can customize and create yourself in the game.
I love the idea of that, just building the most nastiest, badass, meanest looking ship possible, all blacked out maybe, and just sailing up instead of like, oh, I'm getting out of here.
See, the thing is, I'd try to go for the most outrageous ship that I could come up
The
with.
most colorful, the most vibrant.
It's just like, what kind of person does this? And it's a big freaking frigate. That would be like...
Yeah, I mean, it's all about that identity and having someone fear you, and they see you, they want to turn tail. We have a mechanic in our game called Disguise. It's a deception mechanic where you can actually disguise yourself as a Portuguese merchant, and then you can sneak up on another player or another faction and give it to them without them even knowing that you're a threat.
So, you just talked about how the look of the game as well. The graphics are stunning. What kind of work has gone into creating that water? Any game that has water in, I think everyone says it's beautiful water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that's a core competency of our studio. The magic of the ocean is really creating a replicated ocean on our dedicated servers. So every single player experiences the same ocean. It's not just a visual experience, but it's something that's visceral. You feel it. You're at the helm of these powerful ships, and the ocean is not your friend. You have to be able to master it to be successful on the high seas. For us, one of our big challenges is to make it believable. You want to control these ships in a world that is massively in scale, and we bring that to life with this ocean. And every single region will have a different visual feel, a different tone to the ocean itself that reflects the way the oceans look in those particular regions.
I know oceans are key, obviously, sailing the seas, and lots of enemies on the water. But this already gives me anxiety because I have a legitimate fear of deep water, and so I'm kind of curious. As someone who's definitely going to be jumping in, I love Black Flag, love the look of Skull and Bones, love the feel. Can I be expecting some absolute terrifying monsters, or well, let's say mysterious creatures?
Well, the reality is sailors and pirates of the day, they believe in all sorts of myths and legends, and we want to bring that to life. Obviously, it starts with Tal'Jid and the mysticism around fortunes, even though there's some grounded element to all of the information it gives you. But yeah, I mean, it's a little early to talk about how you'll experience those, but you saw last year with,
I'm already,
a bit of the Kraken.
I'm already feeling nauseous.
Yeah, and it's about understanding that these guys believed in all manner of myths and legends, and we want to bring some of those to life in a way that gives the player a fear and respect for those.
Yeah.
Along your journey, you'll have a way to encounter them and take them on in a different way.
I'm quite excited about that though. Like the thing is I'm kind of like you in the sense of when you're playing games like Skull and Bones, you're just like looking at and you just constantly have this thing in your head where something might just pop up, which I think makes the game so much more exciting and enjoyable for that reason. But other game mechanics within Skull and Bones, you have the wind.
Right.
Okay, so with the second ship, which was the ship that had the ram?
The Black Horn.
The Black Horn.
Yeah.
So with that, if you manage to speed yourself, so you've got a line on your HUD, for those of you that have seen the gameplay, that you can line up. And
we use real polar curves for each ship. Each ship has a unique signature to how the wind is used or leveraged by that ship. So you want to find the ship that meets your playstyle. With the Black Horn, it's important that you have the wind at a certain position that allows you to have your maximum speed. But just as important is to try to get your enemy in a position where he's in a terrible position relative to the wind, so you can take him down without him trying to escape from you.
Yeah, because I noticed a lot of people kind of got stuck when they were kind of pushing up against the wind. But yeah.
I love it. And platforms is going to be available on
Xbox One, Xbox X, PlayStation 4, PS4 Pro,
and you
Windows
can register
PC.
for a beta, I think.
All our live phases are coming very soon. You can register at skullandbonesgame.com. We want people to get involved. Community is where it starts. We need people to join us and help us make the best game ever.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us on stage.
Thank you guys very
Super
much.
awesome to have you up
Thank
here.
you very much.
It's super exciting.
Right, but anyway, let's go back to the show floor with our remote correspondents.